Hello and welcome to another edition of Hearsay.
This summer, people all over Britain will remember those men Churchill described as the few, as the nation celebrates the 50th anniversary of the Battle of Britain. Tonight, we tell a different story, though, the story of the thousands of men and women from Africa and the Caribbean who've served in Britain's armed forces.
Well, Britain has been involved in 2 world wars this century, and black people have played a crucial role in both those conflicts. With me on my right is Ernest Mark. You, in fact, enlisted for the World War. Why did you do that, World War One?
When I first came to this country in the early spring of 1917, I was only 14 and a half years old, and I still read comics. And in these caricatures, they always show, well, not always, but most of the time, they show German soldiers bayoneting pregnant Belgian women, which was horrifying to me. And then all over Liverpool, that's where I was, there were placards all over with Lord Kitchener pointing a finger with a caption saying, "Your king and country needs you."
So you thought he was talking about you?
Yeah, I thought he was talking about me. And
so you decided to enlist?
I decided to enlist.
Okay, even though you were in Sierra Leone, was it anything to do with you? Was it your war?
I found that later. When I was too young, I knew nothing about politics.
Okay,
I was too young to realize that at that time. All I want is adventure and fight against the Germans.
Okay. Well, during World War II, the British government recruited heavily in the Caribbean, and the islands responded with cash, food, personnel, and music.
Run, you run, Adolf Hitler, run, you run. Run, you run, Adolf Hitler, run, you run. You hear what Churchill say? Cheer, boys, cheer. With ability and technology, we go conquer Germany. You got plenty ships and very big intention. A bag of tricks to conquer Great Britain. But Churchill have a plan, and we'll give a helping hand. Turn back your guns or it won't be long before you cause more destruction. I say run, you run, Adolf Hitler, run, you run. Run, you run, Adolf Hitler, run, you run. You hear what Churchill say? Cheer, boys, cheer. With ability and technology, we go conquer Germany. Hitler, boy, you fighting to get on top. But in Great Britain, we do it by ballot box. So take my small advice, return and save some lives. Turn back your guns or it won't be long before you cause more destruction. I say run, you run, Adolf Hitler, run, you run. Run, you run, Adolf Hitler, run, you run. Hear what Churchill say? Cheer, boys, cheer. With ability and technology, we gon' conquer Germany.
Well, that certainly brightened up the studio. Our first guests tonight are a man who became a bomber squadron leader in World War II. He was an elite pathfinder and received the Distinguished Flying Cross and the Distinguished Service Order. He's the High Commissioner for Trinidad and Tobago, Ulrich Cross. And a lady who's been leading a single-handed crusade to gain recognition for the part that we played in defeating Hitler. Please welcome Connie Mark. Ulrich, let's start with you. I saw you tapping your feet to that song. Do you remember that song?
Oh, I do indeed.
What does it bring back for you?
Well, I think the song was composed, it was a calypso, I think probably just before I left Trinidad. And it does bring back memories of leaving Trinidad for the first time in my life.
Oh. Well, let's talk about your involvement in the war. Why did you join up?
That's a very difficult question to answer, and I don't know how to answer it, except there are a number of factors. You must remember, we were young, and therefore almost by definition adventurous and idealistic. Then to, I think, the frustrations and the stultifying nature of colonial society, particularly in a very small country, Also, we had a small discussion group going. We got books from all over the world. We were members of the Left Book Club. We got Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf, which we studied. And the whole idea of being a member of the Royal Air Force was a very romantic idea. And I say we were young.
But was the idea of fighting the Nazis an important element?
It was an important element. We knew about Hitler. We knew what he'd done to the Jews. This was an important element. And from my own point of view, I think people differ. From my own point of view, I did read a lot of flying stories, and I had a romantic idea of the Royal Air Force. In fact, I do remember in my Kennedy's Latin primer and my As You Like It, I wrote Flight Lieutenant PLU Cross DFC. I was only 14 at the time.
Let's turn to Connie. Did you join up for similar reasons to Ulrich?
No, my reasons are a bit different in that I was still in high school, and then I went to college. And then my college teacher said to me there was some expert shorthand typists in Up Park Camp. Up Park Camp is where the headquarters of the militaries are. So I went, and I was just 19 at the time, and I took the test of 30 people, and then I heard I'd come first. And I went home not knowing it was the army until I got a telegram to say, will you report for your uniform? Then when my father came home, he said to me, why didn't you tell me you were going to join the army? I said, I didn't know I was going to join the army. I just went for a test for expert shorthand typist in Up Park Camp.
So you didn't think about backing out, though?
Oh, no. I mean, I couldn't. It was war, and everybody wanted to do something. You must remember, England is your mother country, and your mother has a problem. So you feel obliged and happy to go and help your mother. So I was very honored.
Tell me about life in wartime Jamaica. What was it like?
Well, because geographically we are so far away from the United Kingdom with the bombs, our people think we were not involved. But we were very, very, very involved. You see, we are an island, and we have to import a lot of things. Say, for argument's sake, we were running out of oil, and a ship coming in but was bombed because we had a lot of German submarines in the Caribbean area, you know. It meant that you had to do oil. I mean, I love rice. We love rice, and if we were short of rice, and the ship was bombed bringing in rice, so we felt the war all the same. And another thing is that we had a lot of our families going, and they had a sort of scroll downtown Kingston, and every day you'd go down and you'd see another name listed, dead or not counted for or lost in battle. So you're always reminded that the war was on.
Let me turn back to you, Ulrich. You were a Pathfinder. Very briefly, what is a Pathfinder?
Well, we went in ahead of the bombers and dropped flares so that the bombers could bomb our flares. The Pathfinder force was established because it was felt early in the war, at any rate, that a large percentage of Bomber Command bombs were not going on the targets. And so a Pathfinder force was established to drop markers in what we felt was the right place.
So, Ulrich, when you came to Britain to join in the war effort, you must have met for the first time lots of different people from the different Caribbean islands. How was that?
Well, the communications were so bad at that time. I had never met a Jamaican until I came to England. It's the first time I ever met a Jamaican.
So was it exciting? I mean,
it was very exciting, very interesting. Oh, yes, indeed.
Couldn't have met this Jamaican here. Bill Strachan, you were involved in the war effort. What were some of the reasons why you got involved?
Well, as Ulrich said a moment ago, please excuse my voice.
We'll excuse it.
But as Ulrich said a moment ago, it's very difficult to give an answer to that. I was brought up in a very loyal, brown-skinned, middle-class Jamaican family. We thought we were British. We were educated to be British. We thought in terms of being British. Now, at my age, I know the distinction.
A lot of people can't understand that, you see, because a lot of people feel you were all that way out in Jamaica. What really did the war effort have to do with you?
Well, quite frankly, one didn't even think of it in that context, whether it had anything to do with you or not. I mean, we used to get BBC radio news. And my father, being a very respectable, Bible-thumping Freemason, we had to stand up for God Save the King when it came on the radio.
Right.
You don't even do it in cinemas here now.
So the British Empire was firmly embedded in your
Without
in
even
your life.
thinking, it was a part of us. One didn't even think about it.
Okay. What about the women? Because like Connie, Lillian Bather here was one of the many women who served in the war. You tried to get into the NAFI first of all, didn't you?
Yes. When war broke out,
Yeah.
I felt strongly about it because I knew my history of the fascists in Italy. When I was 18, I was very upset at the way the Abyssinians were treated. I even still remember the name of the ambassador, Dr. Martin. And it really upset me, the way the Abyssinians were treated. Black Abyssinians, gassed. I knew about Spain, and I knew about Germany and the Jews. I'd worked for some Jews. So when war came out, unlike anyone else, this is my land. I was born here.
Indeed, you were born here.
This is my land. And I didn't want to see it go down.